So, hello, this is Luca Talks Dons here, and today it is that time again, of course, as the start of the season of the Sky Bet League 2 2025-2026 season is just round the corner this Saturday. We do this video every single year. I've made the video very late. Of course, normally I do it within a couple of weeks. Last year, I did it as a live stream. This year, we're doing it something different. So today, we are doing my Sky Bet League 2 2025-2026 predictions of where I think what 24 teams are going to finish, where your club will be promoted, playoffs and relegation. So you hear my thoughts as an MK Dons content creator of me or giving you my club or where other 24 clubs will finish this season's campaign. In 24th place, I'm going to go for is Accrington Stanley. Accrington Stanley have been in this division for such a long time. Accrington Stanley, of course, if you're talking about signings they've made, of course, they got Ashley Hunter as well, who was released from Salford last season and also played for MK Dons as well. They also signed, of course, Sepp Quirk as well, and they signed Connolly, Isherwood and A. Pickles as well. Look, I think Accrington Stanley are a team where, look, they knew last season they had to fight for survival, and you need at least 45 to 50 points to stay up in League 2. And Accrington Stanley, for me, I really think they're going to do very poor this season coming up, because some of the signings they've made have made quite a lot of free transfers and released, and they're a team where I do think it is time for them to time's up for them. I really do. And Accrington Stanley, I've put them in 24th place. 23rd place I've gone for is Harrogate Town. Harrogate Town, for me, they have been very active in the transfer window this upcoming summer. They've made signings like Jack Evans from Halifax Town on a permanent deal, which sounds a very good signing. Tom Bradbury from Cheltenham. Mason Bennett from Burton Albion's got plenty of experience. He's played in League 1, League 2. They signed, of course, a few other players as well who I don't really know. But I just think Harrogate, for me, are a team where we played them last season. We played them home and away and we beat them. And it's not just obviously anything to do that we beat them home and away. It's just Harrogate Town are just like, they don't seem to have much of a budget. A bit similar to Accrington Stanley. They're a club where they kind of like sign loans and free agents. And look, they signed their first player in May. Of course, Jack Evans as well for their first summer signing. And look, I just feel like Harrogate Town are just like a team where they're always going to be in around the relegation. And look, they played in the National League before. And I just think, look, the outgoings, they did get rid of course, quite a few players as well. But I just feel like, look, Harrogate, of course, have made some mixed permanent loan signings. Like, they wanted to, like, balance and reshape the squad. So that's why I've gone for Harrogate in 23rd place. In 22nd place, I've gone for Newport County. I think Newport County will get relegated this season. Look, I know Newport County were on the verge, of course, getting embargoed. But, of course, obviously, that got lifted. I just feel like Newport County are a team where, look, of course, they signed Matt Smith from St Johnstone. Decent signing, former MK Dons player, Welsh international. Of course, they signed Garner as well. From Barrow. So they've signed a couple of little decent players, but I just feel like Newport County are a team where they've got problems at the moment. I just, with them appointing a Manchester United assistant manager around that, David Hughes, I just feel like that's a bit of a gamble. I think Newport County, look, who would want to come to Newport County after the season, what they've had? And look, County, for me, a lot of people expect them to get relegated. And I was studying this and I'm looking at the signings right now. I just feel like these signings are just not where Newport County should be. Newport County should be like doing a lot better than this. Like, I remember a team like 4 or 5 years ago, they were challenging for the playoffs. And look, Newport County are nowhere near. And I just feel like they've got problems around the club. The owner, obviously getting rid of Jardim as well for County. And I actually think they're going to get relegated. I really do. I think if David Hughes does not back up his ideas, and look, we don't know. Obviously, I don't know much about him. He's worked at Manchester United. Maybe he might have got a bit of experience from obviously coaching from other Manchester United, from the first team coaches and assistants. But I think Newport County probably are going to get relegated this season. So massive shout out to Mike Green if you're listening to this. I've backed you in 22nd place. In 21st place, I have gone for Barrow. I think Barrow, of course, were very good a couple of seasons ago. They did have the Fleetwood Town manager, Pete Wild. And Barrow had a really, really good season a couple of seasons ago, where, of course, Barrow were fighting for the playoff places at the time. But, of course, they missed out. And look, I just feel with Barrow are going to be a team where I do think they will have enough to survive in League Two. Of course, Barrow are a team where I look at their signings for Barrow this season. They haven't really made too much decent signings. Of course, look, you have a look at Barrow. They had some very good players in the past. Look, of course, they did have Scott Smith as well, who joined the club, which is a very good signing. He arrived from League One side Wigan Athletic. They did, of course, have Tyler Walker from Lincoln City. I remember Tyler Walker was very good back in the day. And I just feel like they're a team where they are going to battle for relegation. I don't think they're not going to be a mid-table or a team that... Look, getting rid of Pete Wild was a massive mistake for them. I really did. I think he done some good bits and I thought they were going to get into the playoffs. But Barrow, for me, I do put them in 21st place. In 20th place, I've gone for is Cheltenham. Cheltenham, for me, they're a team where they're always in around near the relegation or just about survive relegation. Of course, you have a look at Cheltenham. They had a couple of good results in pre-season. They beat Swansea the other night. They lost to Wickham. They beat Evesham United. They lost to Worcester City in the beginning of July. But their first game, of course, is Cambridge United. So I look at Cheltenham where, look, can they be a team that could obviously push into the playoffs? I don't think so, but Cheltenham do have a lot of experienced players and they have they have Ethan Archer, who of course was linked to MK Dons in January. Would have taken him, but of course he turned us down. They have Joe Day. They also, I think they have Dimitru as well. I could be wrong. So Cheltenham do have a lot of experienced players and that's why I've gone with Cheltenham finishing in 20th place. And they also have Scott Bennett as well. So they do have a few Newport County players as well. So I've gone for them in 20th place. In 19th place, I've gone for is Shrewsbury Town. Shrewsbury Town just, of course, come from League One last season. I think Shrewsbury are not going to be one of those teams where people think, oh, okay, can they get into the playoffs? Can they be a team? And look, their pre-season results, they had a couple of good results. They beat Telford 2-1. They beat Kidminster. They lost to Bolton 5-2. They drew to 2-2 against Burnley. So, look, can Shrewsbury can get into the playoff places? I don't think so. Of course, they do have John Marquis as well, who's played for loads of clubs, like Bristol Rovers and that. Of course, they have Harrison Biggins, who's a very good experienced midfielder. They have Tom Anderson. So they made some good signings as well, and I have got signs from League One to League Two. So maybe they could obviously push up, but I've gone for them in 19th place. I think they're going to have a very poor season. Are going to finish like lower down mid-table. In, of course, 18th place, I've gone for Scott Lindsay's Crawley. Lindsay, of course, did get relegated. Former MK Dons manager, as we know, Scott Lindsay. So, Crawley fans, if you're listening to this, I do think you will finish 18th. Scott Lindsay, of course, at the time when he was at Crawley in his first spell a couple of seasons ago, was the team who actually beat us 8-1 over the two legs. Not 8-1 in both legs, but 8-1 in total of an aggregate. Of course, they had half of our MK Dons players. They were very good over the playoff places. I think Scott Lindsay, for me, of course, it never worked at MK Dons because Scott Lindsay, of course, I didn't like his style at MK. I just felt like he was just playing possession. And look, for me, Crawley Town, he knows what to do. Maybe he's a manager that could obviously help them get promoted, but I just don't think Lindsay's not a manager where I just feel like, has he even got what Crawley had a few years ago, a couple of seasons ago? Can he get the likes of those players? And look, we have a look at Crawley Town's players incomings coming in the summer. Yes, they brought in Carl Scott. Yes, they brought Tisha Mango as well. He's very experienced, played for Fleetwood not long ago. I just feel like I look at these signings, they're okay signings, but I think they are going to finish in 18th place. In 17th place, I've gone for Bromley. Bromley, of course, had a very good start to the season last season. They were obviously, of course, dark horses, potentially getting into the playoff places. They finished in a strong finish last season. I think they finished about 12th last season or a bit higher than that. Michael Cheek, quality player, always wanted Michael Cheek. We were linked with him in the January transfer window, but of course he did turn us down. But they made some decent signings, of course, Bromley. They brought in Pinnock from Northampton Town, very experienced, come from League One. They've got Carl Cameron from Notts County, very good signing. And I expect Bromley, of course, maybe not have like a higher mid-table finish. Maybe I do think that maybe they'll have a decent season, an okayish season. That's why I've gone with Bromley in, of course, around 17th. In 16th place, I've gone for is Cambridge. Cambridge United are, of course, a team that got relegated from League One. Neil Harris, of course, is the manager for Cambridge. Look, I think Cambridge, for me, are... People were expecting, are Cambridge going to actually have playoff places? Are they going to push? But with Neil Harris in charge, I'm not sure if he's obviously the right man to obviously get them back into League One. I think Cambridge are probably going to have a season or so in League Two, because I'm having a look at Cambridge United, of course, overall over the pre-season. They were playing Cambridge City. They won the game 3-1. They beat Northampton. They've got a point against. They've got a draw, against Charlton, and they beat Braintree. So they can score goals. Obviously, they've had a decent pre-season, but I just feel like Cambridge are going to finish possibly mid-table this season. And look, they've got Paddy Ruddock. He's dropped his career now. He was in the Premier League not long ago, and now has way dropped down the pecking order in League Two. Of course, they've got Zach Bradshaw, experienced defender. They've got Sully Kai, who played for MK Dons. So I just feel like they're going to be a mid-table team. I do think they'll probably start the season well and maybe surprise teams, but that's why I've gone with Cambridge in 16th place. In 15th place, I've gone for is Crewe Alexandra. Crewe Alexandra, of course, I think they're going to have a mid-table finish. I really do. And I have a look at Crewe Alexandra's players overall. Of course, they've got Omar Bogle as well. They've got Miki Dimitri, very good experienced defender. He's played for Newport County. He's about 35, 36 years old. They've got Max Sanders as well. They've got Tracy as well, of course. So I think Crewe Alexandra are a team where I just feel like they're not the same team as they were a couple of seasons ago. And I look at Crewe, yes, or have a look at their incomings, who they've actually signed in the summer transfer window. Look, they've signed Reece Hutchinson from the Irish League. I don't know anything about him. They've signed Jack Powell as well. Decent signing, I guess. But I think they're going to finish around mid-table-ish. 14th place, I've gone for the new upcomers in League Two. I've gone for Barnet. Of course, they won the league last season. I think they're going to have a very good season. I think 14th place is acceptable. I think they're going to finish in a strong mid-table. I think they're going to surprise teams. I don't think they're not going to get relegated. I really don't. And it is about time Barnet are back in the Football League division. It is a ground which I'm really looking forward to do. Of course, I think we played them around September-ish. I could be wrong. So in 13th place, I've gone for is Oldham. Of course, we do take on Oldham at the start of the season. Of course, Oldham Athletic, a lot of fans, people know about Oldham Athletics' fan base, very good. They take so many good support. Of course, Oldham, look, they won the National League playoff final against Southend, unlucky Southend supporters. But I have a look at Oldham's Athletics incoming signings, who they've signed. Let me have a check who they've actually signed. Look, they've signed Kieran Morris as well. They've signed Denov and Daniels as well. So they've signed some decent signings. And look, of course, Oldham, I was very surprised that they got promoted. Look, when they got into the final against Southend, obviously they were the favourites. And they've signed Payne as well. Kai Payne, very good youngster, 20 years of age from Wigan Athletic. So that's why I've put them in 13th place. In 12th place, I've gone for is Salford. Carl Robinson's Salford. Robbo, for me, of course, is an experienced manager that has obviously got clubs promoted like MK Dons, Resistance, of course, when he got them promoted in the Championship 10 years ago. Robbo, of course, knows the Football League very well. Clubs have obviously been after him. And look, he's at Salford right now. Look, I'm not going to say that Robbo is actually kind of like, is the manager where, of course, he's obviously going to get them promoted. But look, Salford City are a team where I just feel like they were a mid-table club. I really do. And I have a look at last season's, where they finished last season. Salford City, of course, did finish in around 8th place, where, of course, but I don't think they're not going to be as good as they were this year. And look, a lot of people think Salford might get into the playoff places because of an experienced manager like Carl Robinson who knows how to get teams out of the division. But I think they're going to finish in 12th place. In 11th place, massive shout out to the Tranmere Rovers fans. A massive shout out to you, Alex Duncan, if you're listening to this. I've gone for you in 11th place. Tranmere Rovers, of course, did battle for a relegation battle last season. They lost a ton of games last season, of course. But towards the end of the season, they had a very, very good, strong finish, and they did, of course, just survive. And look, Tranmere Rovers have been very impressive in pre-season. Only lost the one game, which was against Wigan Athletic, but only by a goal to nil. So it goes to show Tranmere Rovers could have a better season, and I think they are going to have a better season. I think they're going to finish maybe around 11th place. A lot of people say, can they get into a playoff place? I don't think so. But, of course, I think they're going to finish in 11th place. In 10th place, I've gone for is Fleetwood Town. Fleetwood Town, of course, look, they signed the likes of... Who did they sign? Let me have a look. Who did they sign? What was the striker's name? James Norwood, that's it. Yes, they signed James Norwood. A very, very good signing. They managed to pull him off on a free. And I think, look, are Fleetwood strong enough to get into the playoff places? Look, they've signed some decent signings. Of course, they've got the likes of James Norwood coming in. Of course, they still have Sean Rooney. Look, I think Fleetwood are potential could get into the playoffs, but it's just about the consistency. Can they keep? Look, at home, they are a very good, strong team at home. But it's away from home, they're a bit hit and miss. So I've gone with Fleetwood to finish in the top 10. So Nappers, if you're listening to this or if you're not listening to this, I've put you in the top half. So appreciate that. No, I'm joking. In 9th place, I've gone for is Warsaw. Warsaw, for me, were the biggest bottlers, of course. Like, people talk about that we bottled an 8-1 over the 2 legs against Crawley. Warsaw were really hot favourites of winning the league last season. When I went in January, when we lost in January, they were 21 points clear of MK Dons. And we have to play them at the end of August at Stadium of MK. And look, a lot of pressure is on Sadler as well. A lot of pressure is on him. And towards the end of the season, they were conceding a lot of goals. They lost their best player back to Stoke City. And that's where I kind of felt like it's affected him. I just feel like Warsaw's fan base is really kind of like affected, and pressure is going to be on Sadler as well this season. And look, that's why I don't think they're not going to get into the playoffs. And look, they're not the team where they should have actually got promoted last season with Bradford, Doncaster, Port Vale. I just feel like the pressure got to them. But how can you bottle a 21-point lead? Well, 12-point lead, but 21 points from us to Warsaw. I just don't understand. Look, I've gone with Warsaw in 9th place. 8th place, I've gone with Notts County. Notts County, of course, are a team where, look, they are potential that could get into the playoffs. But the thing about Notts County is they expect to beat teams that you are expect to win, and then they'll go and lose to funny teams. And I look at their pre-season, Notts County, they've not really had a good pre-season. They lost to a team called FCK 4-0. They lost to Stand or someone like that 2-1. They drew to Stuttgart Kickers and they drew to Cardiff. So they're conceding a lot of goals. And I think Notts County, this has to be the season where they have to get back in, going into League One, or at least make it into the playoffs. And I think I've gone for them just finishing 8th place. In 7th place, I've gone for Colchester United. Colchester, very good, strong finish towards the end of the season. Just missed out on the playoffs, but they've got plenty of experienced players. And Colchester could be a team that could be in the dark horse, that could finish in that top 7. And I've gone for them in 7th place with the experience of the likes of Jack Payne in their squad. Colchester are very good. Of course, they've got Lyle Taylor in charge. They've got Teddy Bishop as a player, Jack Payne, Lyle Taylor, Jack Tucker from MK Dons, Tom Flanagan, ex-MK Dons player. So they've got plenty of experience. Matt Macy from Arsenal. So I really think they're going to have a very good season, and I do think they are going to finish in the playoffs. In 6th place, I've gone for Swindon. I'm hoping they do have a better season. Swindon Town, of course, they finished around 14th last season, I believe. I can't really remember the top of my head. And they've had a very good pre-season. Of course, they did play Swindon Supermere. They won 4-0. They beat Chippenham Town 5-1. Of course, they beat Melksham 4-0 and Eastleigh 3-2. So I've gone for Swindon in 6th place. 5th place, who just missed out on the playoffs last season, of course, is Grimsby Town. Grimsby, the way the club is going at the moment with them, very unlucky that they lost to AFC on the final game of the season. Pre-season, they've not done too bad. Of course, they lost to Rochdale the other week, but they do start with Corney Town against Scott Lindsay's side. I think Grimsby are going to have a good season. I really do, and I've gone for them in 5th. 4th place, massive shout out to these 2 YouTubers, the German Gilles and Gilles of Blood. Go and subscribe to their channels. I've gone for Gilles in 4th place. I think Gillingham, for me, are going to have a much better season. I think their recruitment has been very good in the transfer market. I think they're obviously looking to finish and have a better season. I've gone for, of course, finish them in 4th. Now, my top 3, I'm going to go for. Top 3, I've gone with Chesterfield in 3rd. 2nd place, I've gone for is my team, MK Dons. I explained for myself. I think for me, we will get promoted, but I just think we'll miss out as champions. I think my only problem is look, in pre-season, we have been conceding quite a few goals. Of course, obviously, I've only missed like 2 pre-season friendlies. I missed the St Mirror one and I missed the Brackley one. And we've not won in the last 3 pre-seasons. I know pre-season doesn't really matter, but however, it's just about fitness. But obviously, you want to have a good start to the season ahead of that Oldham game this Saturday. And I just think defence is a problem. But if we can strengthen the centre-back as well. We did sign Callum Patterson from Sheffield Wednesday today, which I will be dropping a video on that after this, which is recorded. I just think defence is a problem. And I just felt like we need a very good, strong centre-back, I reckon. And I think maybe we need a couple of more additions if we want to be champions. So I've gone with MK in 2nd. And in 1st place, I have gone for is Bristol Rovers. So that's my League 2 predictions for this year's campaign for the 25-26 season. The video, what I'm recording, is probably over 20 minutes, so you don't have to watch the rest of it. You can watch some parts. Content-wise, coming up, I'm going to drop a video today, later on, where I'm going to be doing a reaction to Callum Patterson, and I'm going to have a look into it right now, as MK Dons did sign, of course, I think it's their 6th, 7th signing. And then, of course, after that, there'll be no videos until, well, if we make any more signings before Saturday, I'll drop a video. But after that, next video will be this Saturday, the matchday vlog against Oldham Athletic, the upcomers coming from the National League to League 2, back in the Football League, where we're going to build to a quality vlog. And let's try and aim for 25 likes on this video. Much appreciated if we can. And we're on the road to 8,800 subscribers. And let me know what you think, where your teams are going to finish this season. Will you be winning the league? Will you be finishing playoffs, mid-table, or will you be relegated? So I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now.